Hi, I'm Brittany.
And I'm Jen.
And we're the Village Homeschoolers.
Oh, today we're talking about personality tests and how they can apply to homeschooling and running a co-op.
Welcome to the Village.
So we're going to go over personality tests because we really like them.
I love them.
Yeah, we're a little obsessed with them.
Like, BuzzFeed tells me to figure out what kind of Disney princess I am. I know they're just data mining the heck out of us. I don't care. I'm going to figure it out.
I want to know what kind of pasta I am.
Yeah. Rotini. It's my guess. Bow tie.
So we originally recorded this when we first started. It was like one of our first podcasts, and it sucked so bad.
It was horrible.
It was horrible. I just couldn't do it. And now I've rewrote it, and I still am having anxiety about it. So let me know in the comments how I did so I can ignore them promptly and never see them and pretend that this never happened.
No, it was really bad. And I am not one to be overly critical. Also, we've done some podcasts that we got really good feedback on and we thought they were horrible. This was not like that. This was like
legitimately horrible.
I think we blacked out and just mumble. It was bad.
And Brittany had nothing to say to me, so the whole thing was just me like,
yeah. So it was bad. So we're going to try it again. One, because we love this stuff.
Mm-hmm. And we actually think it applies to a lot of things.
It is helpful. And three, we were told to by several of our friends who really want to hear us do it. They think it's an interesting point and they love to talk about it. So we're going to give it a go. You guys will never hear personality types 1.0. But you'll hear 2.0, God willing.
Hopefully it's deleted off everything that's ever existed.
Yeah.
So we're going to talk about a couple personality types.
Okay.
Because we just took them all. Not the pastas and the Disney princess ones, but we talked about like the major ones.
I did. I am Ariel.
Oh.
Yeah.
I think I was Aurora.
Really?
Yeah.
Wait, who's she?
Sleeping Beauty. Yeah, I don't know. I think they're like, we don't have a one for you.
You are the most like non-Disney princess type person I've ever met.
Correct. Yeah.
I've never even.
And that goes into my personality type when we get into it.
Okay. Yeah. Let's go. Yeah. So where are we going first?
Okay. So there's a couple, and I'm going to talk about all of them.
Okay.
The Myers-Briggs, which a lot of people do.
Yeah.
It's really a well-known one.
Right.
We really recommend you take it. We're going to go a little more into that in a little bit, but it's like basically Lynn's like determines strengths and personality for workplace based off perception, decision-making, leadership skills, and other things that contribute to success. So a lot of companies like to do that with new hires. I've heard that a lot of the Fortune 500 companies.
Yeah. They pay therapists to come in and like have everybody test and then do group work with how they.
Yeah.
I've been part of one of these, actually.
Oh, yeah. So, yeah, and these are all tests you can find for free on the internet.
Yeah.
You don't have to pay for them. The 5 love languages, which is also, if you're married, you should totally take this one.
I just had this great conversation with a friend of mine about this, where I found out that I am the same love language as her husband, and she is the same as mine. And therefore, she's like, maybe that's why we're friends. I'm like, maybe.
Because you like her husband?
No,
yeah, so,
I'm like her. Well... Yeah. I don't know. Yeah.
So the love languages is fun because it tells you like how you give and receive love from people.
Right.
You know, like some people like to get gifts.
Right.
You know, or some people like to have their spouse tell them all the time that they love them and they're pretty and they, you know.
You? No.
Absolutely not. So there they have like acts of service, gift giving, physical touch, quality time, words of affirmation.
Right.
And I'm 100% a acts of service person. Like my
receive or give? Well, give too. You are.
And
having been loved by you with your acts of service.
My husband, like he can say all the nice things in the world. I don't care. I want him to change my oil. I want him to clean the house. I want him to, mow the grass. Those are the ways you show me I'm cared for by you. I don't want your stuff. I want you to do things for me.
Right. Yeah. Are we getting back into this, or do we need to stay here longer on the love languages?
No. We can.
Oh, I was going to say,
I don't remember.
I am a little bit of an acts of service person, mostly. I don't know. If you get real complimentary with me, I'm going to either cry or I'm going to be like, are you kidding? Like, I think you're joking. Especially my husband. He'll be like, oh, you look pretty. I'm like, what do you want?
What's on my face?
Yeah. Yeah.
Like my husband likes to say nice pants. And I'm like, what does that mean? What, is that a compliment? Do I look terrible right now?
I don't know. Yeah. I'm not a gift person at all. I don't give gifts. Mm-hmm. It stresses me out.
Correct.
I don't receive them well.
I'd actually prefer not to get gifts from anybody. Okay. It's not that I don't appreciate them. It's just I'm like,
oh, crap.
Yeah.
I just mailed you a gift.
Did you really?
Yeah.
Oh.
Well, you'll see it eventually.
No, I mean, I like them occasionally.
but you don't have to watch. I don't have to watch you get it because I mailed it to you. So that's good.
You see me 20,000 times a week. You're mailing me stuff now.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it is. The 5 love languages is fascinating. I think that's really important too if you're leading a group of people because, like, how are people going to feel appreciated? Words, acts, and gifts.
We got the most wonderful gift package from our people at co-op.
Yeah.
And I appreciated it so much. And I am not generally a gifts person, but that was so nice because people, and I think a lot of it's like people personalized it.
Yeah.
The people made stuff for it. People picked out things that they thought we would like.
I do like when you make me something. If you're going to get me a gift and you make it, you're like, here's a can of salsa I canned. I'm like, oh my gosh.
Yeah, like one of our friends made me a keychain on that thing, and I used it, and I was like, she's like, oh, I'm glad you used that. And I was like, of course I would. You made it for me. Right. Just like if a child did something for me, I'm like, I'm going to hang it on my fridge. I'm going to put it on my Christmas tree.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, it's awesome.
It's true. Yeah.
So anyway, we went a little...
Well, you can deviate, I think, is the point with that. Like, even if you're an acts of service person, sometimes you enjoy it. A rare gift.
Yeah, I do. I just don't want people to expect to give me gifts. Like, I don't want you to think you have to give me gifts in order for me to like you.
It stresses me out to give gifts. Like, I'm like, are they going to want this? Do they need this? Blah, blah, blah.
So my husband has to work this Christmas, and he's happy about it because we have to skip Christmas in our family's house, and Christmas stresses him out because he doesn't like gifts.
Oh, it's like giving or receiving.
He doesn't like giving. He doesn't mind giving gifts. He doesn't like receiving gifts at all. It makes him really uncomfortable. So for him, he's like, "Oh God, we get to bypass that completely." Like he's thrilled.
My sister-in-law is the same way. She's like, "Please don't watch me open this."
Yeah, I hate that too.
Yeah.
Ugh.
And so, like, I gave her, was it me or somebody else? And we were all opening, like, we all swapped, the adults, like, pull a name and swap. And she was like, and I was like, I'm just not going to look at you. Like, I won't make eye contact. Yeah. It's fine. Like, I totally get it.
And it's weird. Yeah, it's not that I don't appreciate a gift.
Right.
On occasion. I just don't, if people feel obligated to give me gifts.
I still know you love me without a gift.
Exactly.
Right.
So anyway, so there's that one. Now my husband loved the Gretchen Rubin Four Tendencies. He read the book. He got it in an audiobook, and he used to have to take an hour commute to work, and he would come back and he's like, yes, I think that you're a rebel. And
because there's 4 personality types with Gretchen
Yeah,
Rubin.
it's like the rebel, the questioner, the obliger, and the upholder.
I'm an upholder.
Yeah, totally. And my husband is a questioner, which if you know him, it's totally his personality. It's really annoying.
We love you.
With love, but as a natural rebel myself.
Yeah.
I don't want all the questions. Just let me do my thing.
Yeah. So you're a rebel, huh?
Yeah, I'm a little, yeah. Mostly because I just want to be able to have freedom.
To do what you want to do.
Mm-hmm. I don't like to be supervised, as you should probably know.
It's true. It's true. I asked her an ill-timed question earlier in the week. I was like, I'm not being critical. I was just curious.
Well, she was doing talk to text, and I think it came off as really like, I was like, I'm doing my best, Brittany.
I know. Yes, I know. I was like, oh my God, I totally didn't mean it like that. Yeah. Yeah, I'm an upholder because I like efficiency, forward progress.
Yeah.
I can't sit there and overanalyze it forever. I can't put a roadblock up for no good reason. Like, we need to move forward and do it quickly. We hit a payment issue with one of the ways that our co-op families can pay 2 days before co-op registration opened for our co-op. And God bless her, one of our leaders said, should we postpone registration? And I had a full-on breakdown. Like, I looked and I was like, no. Luckily, everybody else agreed with me. She was new and she was just putting it out there. She wasn't like married to the idea. She didn't mean to give me a heart attack, but I was like, no, we cannot. We are already like so committed.
Yeah.
And I like, that's my worst nightmare, is to not continue to move forward.
Yeah.
It's like, I am just like, we got to keep moving. We got to keep having progress. We got to keep, I'm going to drag y'all with me. all the way in. Yeah.
Yeah, so the other one we didn't talk about yet is, what do they call it? Enneagrams?
Enneagrams, yeah.
Enneagrams. I didn't like that one as much. I thought it was like very kind of vague.
Yeah. Well, they say it's all, because like with the Enneagrams.
And this was like loyalists and questioners. Is that what this is about?
Yeah, and it's like basically like you can tip either way. Like, you're like, I don't really think I'm a 3. I'm more of a 4. So, okay, then they're like, well, then you're a 4. And it's like, are we or are we not? I'm a 6.
So am I, which is what I thought was funny that we both got the same thing, because it says that our primary motivation when I was reading it is to be secure and safe. And I was like, I wonder if this is why we run the co-op. Like, we're trying to find
that makes sense for me.
Yeah, a safe space for our kids.
And then so my friend's a big Enneagram person, and anytime I'll do something, she's like, oh, you're such a 6. That's what she says to me. We're also known for being community builders.
And loyal, actually, apparently, too.
Which makes sense.
Yeah.
All that checks. So we're all here scoffing at the Enneagrams and all those Instagram moms who did them, but, I mean, my 6 does check out.
We also are apparently excellent employees.
That's true.
You know, if we had jobs and all.
Well, that's true, though. I mean, the infamous story about me is that I will get up in the middle of the night to get something done instead of wait till the morning because I can't have it hanging over my head. So when we're all texting and I'm already in bed, I've gotten up to do something for co-op. So that, I mean, that's probably not healthy, but that does make us great to work for the corporate world, probably.
That's true. I mean, we're known to be rule followers. And we follow directions, which is funny because as a rebel, I'm like not really a rule follower.
Yeah, you're more of a rule follower than me. I'm like, well, why does that? See, this is where a little bit of me relates to your husband, to go back to the Gretchen and Reuben personalities, because I am a little bit of a questioner with rules. I'm like, why does that rule exist?
Yeah.
If you can't tell me it's a good reason, I'm not necessarily going to follow it. Yeah. Also, human beings are gray, rules are black and white. Does the rule actually match the gray human beings it's trying to help?
Yeah.
And if it doesn't, I'm a bit of a skeptic.
So I want to go back to the Myers-Briggs because that was my favorite. And I just felt like that one really spoke to me.
Okay.
All right.
So what are you?
Well, I am the Craftsman. I am an ISTP. Okay, so for this one, it focuses on introversion and extroversion. Mm-hmm. I think that's one of the main things. Whether you're intuitive, you're sensory, you're thinking or feeling, perceiving, or judging. So I am personally an ISTP, which would be introverted, sensory, thinking, and perceiving. And I am the Craftsman. So the Craftsman's an interesting one because it's almost always males that are craftsmen. So I am like the 6% of people are craftsmen, and only 2% of those people are women. So
okay.
But I think I actually come from a long line of craftsmen women. So anyway, I am the Craftsman, and Brittany is?
I'm an advocate, which is an INFJ, which is always, no one believes that I'm actually an introvert. Now, to be totally fair, I've taken Myers-Briggs like 6 times, and I test, depending on the day, either 1 point into extrovert or 1 point into introvert. I lean introvert a little bit more. Actually, no one believes that about me because I'm a really good faker.
Oh, yeah.
But I really do not recharge out in public. Like, social settings are not, they're good, but they're exhausting for me. I function fine in them, but they're exhausting for me.
You just do stuff all the time. I just imagine you'd be exhausted. Well, maybe you are.
But I am. Yeah, I am.
Exhausted all the time.
Intuitive feeling, judging. And this is approach life with deep thoughtfulness and imagination. And that's what I'm talking about with the rule breaking for me. Like, yes, I'm a rule follower, but also I'm like questioning the rules. Their inner vision, personal values, and quiet, principled version of humanism guide them in all things. They're one of the rarest personality types.
You know, one of our other leaders is also the same personality type.
Yes, she is.
Isn't that
as
interesting?
Well. This is so true. Success doesn't come from money or status, but from seeking fulfillment, helping others, and being a force for good in the world. My husband, this drives my husband nuts. He's like, you have all these talents, just do them to make some money. And I'm like, but people need to eat. That's true. Like, I don't, money and status mean zip to me. In fact, it's a kind of a turnoff for me. You've had this conversation, but like people who find identity in that kind of thing, I'm like, ooh.
Yeah.
It's not my thing at all. Like, I am idealistic about humanity, and I treat people how I think human beings should be treated. That's that idealistic side. Yeah, it totally makes. My Myers-Briggs is pretty spot on.
Yeah, so mine says I'm more like logical and rational, which is weird as a female because I'm not as emotion based as you guys.
Yeah, because we're feeling. Because I'm an F and you're a, what is it?
I'm a thinking.
Yes, you're a T.
Yeah.
Yes.
Which is rare in most women.
That is close to, I'm close to split on that. I tip over into feeling, I think, because, the only thing I'm really, like 80% is the judging. I'm a heavy on the J.
Oh yeah, I'm not. I guess I'm all perceiving. I don't know. So it's like mine was like I need a sense of fairness and lots of freedom, which is totally me.
Right.
Even Brittany, when she tries to remind me of things, and I know she's doing it all the time. She tries really to be discreet, but she's not. But she'd be like, "Oh man, I gotta, this, and this," and I'm like, "I know what you're doing, Brittany, and it's okay. Thanks for the reminder."
That's my idealism. I get it. Get it out of the way. Yeah.
And it's fine, right? But I also am like, I'm a doer. So I come up with solutions and I just do them, right? I'm not going to talk about it for 4 hours. I'm like, okay, let's just move on.
Well, I appreciate that though, because I am like, going back to Gretchen Rubin, I'm an upholder. So I'm like, let's keep going. We don't have time to sit here and debate ad nauseum, which your poor husband drives nuts about me and you probably, because we're like, no time for discussion. Moving on.
Yeah, and I'm even like that when home repairs, because it's like, just do it this way. It'll get done in 10 minutes.
Right.
And he's like, no, I need to research for 3 hours.
No,
and then analyze that.
Yeah.
It's research.
Yeah.
Yeah. And also another thing that's it's unique about me is that I prefer manual labor. And so it's not really compatible with me being a female sometimes. Like I was telling Brittany this story before. When I got my first job as a drafter, I was working in this small automation engineering company. There was only like 5 employees. They were all males. There was no secretary. So when I got hired, they're like, "Oh, you're a woman. You can answer the phone." Totally super sexist. And so I started answering the phone. About a week later, my boss calls me into the office and he's like rubbing his temples and his eyes. And I'm like, "Is everything all right?" And he's like, "Did you see these notes you took?" And I was like, "Well, yeah, I took them. What's wrong?" And he's like, "You gave me phone numbers with just 6 numbers. And you gave me a name to call back. And you said, I think his last name was Smith." And he told me to please not answer the phones anymore.
Oh, boy.
And so I'm not a good secretary. That is not my job. This is why, I joke about being the trash man at co-op, but that is way better of a fit for me than to do, stuff on the computer and secretarial work.
It's true. So, and we've told this story, I think, before, but I'm going to tell it again because it's one of my favorite Jen stories. I lost my voice, and I'm like the MC at co-op, where I in the transition periods, I'm playing games with the kids, I'm making announcements, I'm doing all that fun stuff. I lost my voice. I could not talk. So Jen was like, "I will do it." So I wrote her notes, and she literally read the notes in 90 seconds. She had 15 minutes to read all the announcements, all the notes. She read the notes in 90 seconds and then said to the kids, "Okay, go to your class," which is not how we dismiss it all.
Yeah.
And I'm looking at her like, the teachers aren't ready. Their class doesn't start for 12 and a half minutes.
I know. I'm not how did I get on a podcast? It's like I'm up there and I'm super nervous anyway, but
she's not like a detailed person like that. She's just like,
I can. I was a professional drafter. You'd think
Well, that's different though. That's not like the...
Yeah. Not that kind of detail. Like, it's weird, right?
Yeah.
I can do a detailed mechanical drawing, but man, you asked me to talk about whatever the crap is that you had me emceeing about.
Now, this is the other thing. So as the advocate, because they are one of the rarest personality types, they often carry a sense of being different from most people, which is true.
Oh, you think you're special, Brittany, do you?
Well, because we have a rich inner life and a deep, abiding desire to find purpose, we don't always fit in with those around us. We are not, this is very true, I am not good at just like pointless doing or hanging out. Like people are like, let's just hang out. I'm like, but why don't we go ahead and,
can something while we're doing
something while we do it. Or
have a meeting or something.
And I've said this before in here, I build community, I build friendship by working on something with other people, by building and bettering and like those kinds of things. And so,
Is that how we became friends, I guess?
yeah, probably. That's probably,
I forced you to work with me?
and we only care about altruism or personal gain. Yeah. But we feel called to use our strength to uplift others and spread compassion.
Well, you are kind of like the head of so many things. You live a life that I could not live.
Well, that's because I'm an advocate and you're a craftsman. Somebody's got to be both. Yeah. But it's that's an interesting viewpoint on it a lot, because I feel like I am often, everyone else is like, oh, let's just go and hang out. That'll be fun. And I'm like, we're going to go sit there and have a glass of wine for 4 hours? I don't quite know what to do with myself. And then I often turn the conversation into something really serious because that's all I know how to do.
You seem so great in those situations where I'm just like sitting there in silence because I'm like, okay, this is max threshold of my tolerance for humans.
5 minutes in and I'm like, all right, yes. Let us discuss the housing shortage currently where we live.
Yes.
This is how much I know I do it. I got in the car with my oldest daughter and her friend who is the same age. They're 11. I was driving them to dance camp, and within 2 minutes, dance camp was 5 minutes from my house. Within 2 minutes of getting in the car, they started talking about the used car shortage. 11-year-olds.
Yeah.
Like, that is, because that's what I do. I'm not just like, how are you feeling? Oh, did you see there was a really great sale at Target on school supplies? I'm like, did you see that 60% of parents can't afford crayons anymore? What are we going to do about it?
So you don't like chit chat. You're not going to be like, hey, do you see the weather?
No, I don't like, I like immediately get into deep, conversation.
Do you think there's a genetic component to this? Your personality?
Maybe.
Are your parents, did they get tested?
I'm sure they have. Would not, this is not my mother. It's maybe more my father, maybe. But there's different, I don't know if he would test entirely that way either.
Yeah, I was just wondering because as a female that's a craftsman, my sister is also a craftsman. Right. And like, I'm not sure what my grandmother would have tested at, but I just remember as a child shellacking furniture in her basement with her. So, so instead of baking cookies like most grandmoms, we're like shellacking the end table.
Yeah. Well, it's a life skill. Somebody had to do it. Yeah.
Like my grandfather could have done it? I don't know.
No, he wasn't the craftsman.
Yeah, right. Yeah. So I just wonder if that was just something learned or, I don't know, just innate in my people.
I mean, that's the real question. That's the nature and nurture argument, which we don't have time to unpack in a 30-minute podcast. But yeah, I do think, and I think that maybe, and actually the Enneagram talks about this, if you get into it, that where you live, who you're around, it does shape your personality.
Sure.
Right?
Sure.
Right? So I think that's true.
I'm definitely nicer since I've been in co-op.
You're a nice craftsman.
Craftsmen are bad people, Brittany.
No. I'm sure there's nice and not nice advocates too. Yeah. So yeah, it's an interesting concept. Now the downside, there's downsides to these personality.
Oh, my biggest one is like how I can't plan anything. I'm a terrible planner.
Really?
And I'm terribly unorganized.
I don't see you as being terribly unorganized.
You would think not, but like if you ever went into my closets in my house, my husband wants to die. We have a sliding closet door, and his is like all his clothes are arranged by like size and color, and all the hangers are an inch apart. Where on my side, it's like you can't even close it all the way because there's something overflowing.
That's true. The woman took a giant tooth stool home from a swap that we had.
Yeah, the tooth stool somewhere around.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's yours. I am sensitive to criticism, which is true because I like see why I'm doing something. And so I'm like, you don't understand. Like, this has to be done for this reason. You and I have this argument all the time where I'm like, Jen, like, this has to happen because this is wrong and this needs to be fixed or helped or whatever. And you're like, can't save everyone, Brittany. And I'm like, but we have to try. Yeah. Reluctant to open up. Also true. Again, people think I'm an extrovert, so they think I'm an open book. And I am open about a lot of things that I think I'm like, we should just all talk about our births. Like, that's normal.
I think that's such a weird homeschool cliche.
I know. And like,
it's like, I know everybody's birth story.
Yeah, I do too. But I'm like, I'm pro, that kind of thing. But then like deep feelings, those kinds of things. I'm supposed to be a perfectionist, avoiding the ordinary. That's true. I can't just be like normal and prone to burnout.
How are you prone to burnout?
I mean, I am.
If I was you, I would have been burnt out 3 years ago.
Well, yeah, but I mean, I'm burnt out. I'll just keep plugging. But that's my Gretchen Rubin upholder and my acts of service stuff kicking in, where I'm like, I also sometimes, this is true, I'll get into something and I'll go, this is going to take so much work to pass on to somebody else. I don't know if I can do it.
Oh, it's like us stepping down from leadership?
I'm not even specifically talking about co-op, but there's another job I do for another organization, and I'm like, if I ever had to hand this over to somebody else, one, I'd have a panic attack because I am a perfectionist about how it's done, and I've been doing it, and I know the context, and I know the humanity behind it all. And two, I'm like, it's going to be a huge load of like 6 years of work that I hand over to somebody. I couldn't do it.
So anyway, so we kind of think this is fun because there's actually a lot of like quizzes and stuff online. You can quiz your kids and see what kind of students they are and what kind of teacher you would be.
Right.
So I did my son, and it was really interesting because it just talks about best ways to like teach somebody. Like my child's a very empathetic person, so teaching him with empathy is easier.
Right.
Putting the real life spin on things
Right.
is easier to teach him when he can learn something. It
Right.
feels real to him rather than abstract thoughts, which,
Right.
so there's just like a lot of really interesting ways that you can kind of turn this into something that benefits you as a homeschooler.
Right, yeah. And is being able to carry out, the other people you're working with, and
Yeah, like if we're complementary styles, like obviously we work decent enough together.
Yeah.
And we've been doing it long enough. Like if
Right.
not, you're a really poor decision maker, Brittany. Is that on the thing?
makes poor decisions. Well, I'm an idealist about humans, so I see the best in you.
That's true. You always are like, give me excuses when I'm misbehaving. Like, well,
I
Chad
don't-
had a bad day. Like, no, Brittany, I'm a jerk. Sorry.
No, I mean, but I do that. I don't just do that for you. I do that for everybody.
I know you do.
I'm like, well, they're having even when I'm mad, I'm like, oh my gosh, can you believe this person did this? And I'm like, don't get me wrong, I understand they're really stressed out.
Yeah, we just had this conversation. But that makes me nicer because I'm not naturally like that, where I'm always like, God, no, they're just jerks. People
Oh,
are jerks.
yeah.
And I was
Yeah.
like, oh, no, they have a bad life. Okay.
Or a bad day.
Yeah.
Hopefully they don't have a bad life. Or my advocacy is going to come kicking in. Yeah.
Can't save them all, Brittany.
Oh, I want to try. Yeah. It's an interesting thing. I remember in my younger years saying to myself, if I don't do it, no one will. And so I've got to do it.
Oh, my goodness.
Now, I don't feel like that as much anymore. I don't know. So your kid, what was your son? What was his actual sign? His, Myers-Briggs?
I don't remember offhand.
But he was empathetic.
He's empathetic. He actually has he's also a child, but so far it's like he has a very like, it told him he should be like a teacher or like a social worker. Like it's a very more females have that
makes sense.
Personality, which
Right.
is interesting because it's like the opposite of
Because you. I mean, what about your husband?
Oh, he's like the mad scientist, works alone,
Oh.
in a basement somewhere, engineering things. But it's literally like you should work alone. That's what it said. And it makes so much sense because he's like, I could get so much done if there wasn't other people.
I feel a little bit like that sometimes too. If I could just do all of this.
Yeah.
But he does take it to a degree I don't.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, that's true. It's hard.
But it's interesting because the test too for me as a parent that with my personality type, it's like I'm very freedom loving, so I like to have though I want to have everything laid out, I want to kind of have freedom to do what I want with homeschooling. So it all kind of wraps into
where that totally makes sense. I'm like, we're gonna read all these amazing books about all these amazing people that did really wonderful things for the world, because that's my personality. And so everyone's like, oh, do you like that book? I'm like, yes. And I'm like, you can't. I joke don't ask me what books you should read because you don't have time for that conversation. Because here I come.
Yeah.
Because I mean I'm a book person and I'm a literature person, but yeah, that's definitely how I educate my kids. I'm terrified. Everyone else is like, oh no, what if they don't get into college? I'm like, oh my gosh, what if they don't understand about how the world needs them?
Yeah.
That's how I educate my kids.
No, absolutely. I think for me, it's self-sufficiency. That's...
Right. Oh yeah, that's how you are?
Yeah, I want my child to be able to like succeed in the world, he doesn't have to know all the math or all the grammar.
Right.
I want him to be able to like, can you cook your own meal?
Right.
You know,
right.
can you clean yourself?
Because you're a craftsman.
Yeah.
Where I'm the advocate, so I'm like, we are going to read all the history because you have to learn from it, so we don't repeat it. You know, like you have to do all the, you know, I'm definitely that person where that's like I'm like, math will come, but can you read and understand the horrors of the world? Yeah. My poor kids, they're constantly probably like, oh,
Yeah, whatever.
Mom's,
Strict.
crying while she reads this. Which happens a lot.
Oh, I mean, that happens to me too. Like
Yeah.
I get choked up. I was reading like, what's that? Big Sky. What was that one?
Hattie Big Sky.
Hattie Big Sky. And I cried when the baby died. I was like, my son was like, are you okay? And I was like, hold on.
There's one book I read.
They have typhoid.
Yeah. Oh, it's so, yeah.
Or no, Spanish flu or whatever the heck it was.
Oh, yeah. There's so many books that I just, I stop and they're like, oh, here goes Mom. It's, yeah.
Yeah, I'm just glad we didn't have to read like Old Yeller or anything like
No.
that. Because that's where you really get me in the guts.
Yeah, you are the animal person. Is that a Craftsman thing?
No, I don't think so. Because my
That's
son
just
is the
you.
same way. Yeah, I think it's just me.
Yeah. Well, there you go.
My child. But anyway, so
Yeah.
we thought these were fun, and that was pretty much.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, you should try them. That would be a great, like, hey, we're going back to our homeschool, going back to our co-op. Let's all take this test, post our results.
Yeah.
Gosh, I kind of want to do it with everybody now.
I know. Because I have been convincing people to do it because they're like, oh, I've never heard of this. And I was like, it doesn't take very long. I mean, the Myers-Briggs is probably the longest, but it still only takes maybe 10 minutes.
Right.
So.
Oh, man, maybe we should go do this. Real time. Guess what's coming out in an email to you? But I'm like thinking it's a super good way to like get to know people.
Yeah.
Because there's like, it shapes.
Like, is there other upholders or is there other craftsmen or there, you know,
yeah,
whatever.
Oh, you're this personality type. You're empathetic. I really should not, address you in a very clinical way. You may not take kindly to that. You need to see
And I need to rub your arm when I'm doing it.
Yeah,
Right?
physical. Are you a physical touch person?
Yeah.
These are all really nice. I feel that way too if you're not a physical touch person. Because like, I don't have to touch you. But I can. I will hug you happily. We all had this long conversation a couple months ago where we're like, oh, all of us are cool hugging. We should start hugging each other.
And I got a couple of hugs because people assume because of my face, I guess.
Just very seriously. Yeah.
That I'm not. And I'm totally like, yeah, you can hug me and touch me. I don't care.
Yeah. In fact, we do have one friend who is not. And one time she sat at a brunch between Jen and I, and we were both rubbing her arm. And then I looked at her and I was like, I'm so sorry, I forgot that you don't like this.
And she's like, it's fine, just don't linger.
But it's like valuable stuff to know. Like, you don't want to have the awkward, should I hug you? Should I not hug you? Should I shake your hand?
Yeah.
Do you not want to have any contact at all? Or do you need a good squeeze?
Yeah.
Like,
if I rub your arm when I'm telling you are doing something wrong, does that help you?
right, yeah. Yeah. You did not,
Clean the trash well.
Do it. Yeah. Yeah. Or like I'm walking behind you and putting my hand on your back kind of thing, but that isn't great for everybody. Like, so it's good to know if you can be cognizant enough to realize who you're patting.
Because we do it a lot. Oh my gosh.
I know there's a lot of people. Yeah.
I do a lot of knee slapping and all that kind of fun stuff. Yeah.
So does my husband. My husband's a real knee slapper if you're sitting right next to him. I'm like, okay. Yeah. And yeah, so that's just a good idea. You use some of these, any of them really, and like bring them into your homeschool group and get to know people a little bit better.
Yeah, do it with your kids. It's fun. Maybe we can post a couple of links about some of the quizzes.
Yeah, we'll put some of the quizzes in the comments or in the description of the podcast and let us know what you are, what Enneagram, what Myers-Briggs. Have you read the Gretchen Rubin book? We'll connect you to Jen's husband. He'd love to chat. Shout out to the upholders. Woo-hoo. Yeah. Yeah. Or is there one? Maybe I'm sure there's some we've missed. Like,
oh, I'm sure.
There's so many. Just tell us what kind of pasta you are. Go to BuzzFeed. They'll let you know.
There's so many stupid quizzes on there.
I have taken the Gilmore Girls one like 7 times because I love that show.
Oh, I've never watched it.
Yeah. I'm Lorelai.
Oh, good to know. If I ever watch it, I can be like, okay.
I don't think you won't be shocked. I'll be honest. Yeah. So just tell us what kind of personality, if you've taken these, what you are. We'd love to hear. You can find us at Instagram, Facebook, and at thevillagehomeschoolers@gmail.com. And we'll talk to you soon.